Well, hello and welcome to Painless Universal Conversation with myself and Welsh. Today I'll be talking to Maria. Maria's based out in Hamilton, Canada. We'll be talking about the basic issues of getting university students and getting new students on board to do laboratory work. She's a champion from this. She advocates it not just being a student, recent student herself, but also doing this through various platforms, social media platform, and also having her own podcast. We'll be talking about her work, what got her into such interesting line of career, and why she wants more people to join her in that field. Meet Maria. Thank you so much, Maria, for joining me to play in this universal conversation. I really had to talk to you because of your enthusiastic about being a graduate, being a university student, and getting more students into, the laboratory work. I did my own research, and I did realize that not a lot of students are having that as their initial place they want to go and study. It's just really amazing that you've taken this on because you feel there's a need. Can you just tell me before we even go into that topic, who are you, Maria? A little bit
Um,
about yourself.
yeah, no, yeah. So, yes, my name is Marie Roussakis, and I am a medical laboratory technologist working in Canada. So my passion for the medical laboratory field started, I would say, in high school because mainly, I went through this period of not really knowing what career I wanted to pursue, but I'm very analytical. I really enjoyed sciences in high school. I greatly enjoyed chemistry and biology, and I always liked volunteering, and I always had a need, like a want for pursuing a job that I could help others. And when I pursued a bachelor's degree in medical laboratory sciences, that's where all those kind of fields started to join together. And I just got a better appreciation for the field that I am now working in. And what was really great about this education I did was I got to learn, a lot of different uh, scientific fields, and it wasn't just focused on one, but also the education was really focused on working in a clinical laboratory. So it was very much oriented into real world skills
Mm.
and different laboratory analytical techniques. They taught us how to identify cancerous cells, isolate pathological microorganisms, and so many skills that are just so valuable in a medical laboratory. And then when I graduated from this program, I went on to work in, at first, a smaller hospital, but I found this experience to be very valuable because I worked in what's referred to as a core lab in Canada. So it's kind of like a very multidisciplinary setting, and I got to do a lot of different types of testing. But I also was responsible for collecting blood on patients in hospital, and as well as doing electrocardiograms for monitoring cardiac conditions. So
Mm.
that was a really great experience as well. And I think just working in that environment and making me a multitasker and learning and experiencing all these different things at once really helped me, especially early on in my career. I really appreciated that.
Yes.
And and now I work in a more specialized field. So since April, I work in a university setting in Hamilton, and it it has kind of shifted gears a bit because now I perform specialized testing for diagnosing blood disorders, and it's been a really great time. It's also been a welcome challenge because I'm still in the process of learning and understanding all the nuances of everything, but it's been a great experience, and I really loved how my role as a medical laboratory technologist has kind of expanded, and I've learned these new other like techniques as well. Um, and then I also recently finished a master's degree that I pursued online while I was working. And this was in the field of health science education. And I'm like, so last month was my virtual graduation, but I'm very excited to, have from this master's degree, have this knowledge, and hoping to in the future utilize it for teaching in medical laboratory as
No,
well.
that's really amazing. One of the things that strikes me about yourself is that you just didn't do all of this, but you also noticed the challenge in, and in getting medicals, more graduates on board. Why did you notice that gap, and why did you decide to do something about it?
The well, the gap was very clear as soon as I started in the workforce. Um, it was very clear that there, especially, well, I mainly know about Canada, but I think it is a common theme in a lot of different countries, as well as the UK. But there is a great shortage, and there has been for a while in Canada, of, of medical laboratory professionals. And you do realize this when you start working, and it's hard for certain hospitals to get the appropriate number of employees, also in covering sick calls, holiday season, you know um, and I think a lot of issues also occur with more rural hospitals. The
Mm.
urban areas may attract more uh, recent graduates, and especially other, because Canada is a very large country. So there's a lot of these smaller communities that live particularly more in the north of the country that I think may be underserviced because there's just overall not as many healthcare professionals in those areas.
Mm.
But yeah, so it is very, as soon as I started working, I didn't notice this gap. And um, I did start doing some presentations with our national organization so it's called the Canadian Society for Medical Laboratory Science. I was volunteering as an advocate uh, for the medical laboratory profession, doing some presentations for high school students, trying to show them, this is a viable career option, and that, because a lot of students don't really realize this. They know about, oh, like, nursing and maybe medical school to be a doctor, but they don't really realize all the other different health professions are
I think
there.
you're right there. Yeah, that's very true because when I immediately think about the medical side, I think of they always advertise shortage of nurses, shortage of doctors, but you don't hear the other bits. So when you notice this, yeah, you were saying, what did you do to kind of make it more visible to students?
So I have, yeah, so I did do some of those presentations. But then another thing I've had is my website that I started in my third year of university. And um, at first, I kind of did it on general science topics. I would write blogs about general science topics, but then I kind of also started documenting my fourth year in university when I did my clinical placement. So whenever I did my rotations in the different departments in lab, and I had a lot of students come to me and say, I'm really thankful for your blog series you did, because it really helped me to know what to expect, and like it opened my eyes to this field and the different work that you do, and also I've just been trying to in recent years be more active on social media, and advocating for my profession when I can on social media. uh, Part of that has also resulted in partnering with some organizations and their efforts, because I like to, as I said, I volunteered in high school and that didn't really stop. I like to volunteer. um, but I volunteer. There was it last year? Yes, it was 2019. Just advocating for the importance of health, medical laboratory professionals in Canada. The need for increased medical laboratory programs in the country, and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been an overall, like, generally just advocating and kind of partnering up with some organizations that are also working towards this, which is another great reason about having been vocal on social media. I make these connections with people who I can help, and they can help me kind of, like,
Keep
elevate
your
this.
voice heard. Yes.
Yeah.
But you didn't just stop there trying to get medical students on board. I mean, or students recently grads. You went on to also talk about the pandemic and the effect on our mental state. You talk about managing mental health issues while we deal with the pandemic. So why was that critical thing? Because that's not something that a lot of people are talking about. But I think when you look at it, it is a vital subject that we all need to talk about it. Managing your mental health care for the people in the front line. How are we going to deal with this once all this is slightly over?
So, I mean, it's so, I mean, this year has been tough on all of us, and it can be extremely difficult because us medical laboratory professionals, as well as healthcare professionals in general, we already deal with so much stress that is included in our jobs. And it is sometimes it is part of the job, but unfortunately some of it is kind of a byproduct of the environment. Again, with short-staffed hospitals, and just having to work longer hours, and but then, so that is in a normal setting. And now when you've introduced the stress of the pandemic, as well as what it brings increased testing, especially with the COVID testing, but also, these patients who have COVID, and they develop other conditions along with that. So there's other types of lab testing that increases, and then the stress of having colleagues being sick because they have symptoms, so they can't come into work because they have to quarantine until their result comes back negative. And and having the stress of just the negative media associated with it. And I think it can play a large part in people's mental health. And it at times, like during this past year, it can feel like there's no time for mental health. You're just trying to survive,
Get by.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But obviously this isn't something that is a long-term solution. And so I did spark a conversation with this discussion series I have over Twitter called MedLab Chat. And I kind of did have a discussion about mental health during the pandemic, because I knew a lot of my like my colleagues, my friends on social media, they all had very similar experiences to what I have. Some of them are involved directly with the COVID-19 testing. Some again are on the periphery, like affected, but in other departments. And yeah, so I really think that that conversation needed to be had. I've talked about mental health before in regarding mm, the medical laboratory profession. I wrote an article about it that was published in this magazine about mental health and new medical laboratory graduates, which I think is another issue. But I think, yeah, this is just, as people say, it's been unprecedented times. But I think one positive, if I can say there's one positive that came out of this year, a lot of people have been more open about mental health struggles, which I think has really encouraged a great dialogue, and I think a really great support system, because, you know, you see this great, like these people you think maybe do not have any struggles, but when they say, you know, oh, I've been struggling so hard, like this has happened to me, I've seen, you know, the community that I'm a part of on Twitter are very supportive of each other. So that's great. You know, even when people can't physically get together, at least there is that
that support.
interactive. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that support, I think that support, it helps in terms of, it also helps to end that stigma, because I think this pandemic, one of the things it's brought is that we're all humans and we're all trying our very best. And there's that stigma that even though you're in the mental health, you're a healthcare professional, people don't assume you should be tired. They always just automatically assume you should be this superhero working nonstop. So it's okay now to come out and say, I am tired, I need support, I need someone to actually look after me and talk to me and do this. You know, that also goes to me in my, you know, my final question is about attracting more people into the medical laboratory. In your view, you've been doing this, you've been having this conversation. How do you think it will be possible to now go around and start attracting more people into this field?
So I think having some of the best ways to, I guess, get people interested in the field, or get them even knowing about the field, is introducing these professions to kids. I mean, at an early age, or at the latest in high school. I think there's a lot of these career panel speakers who come to high schools to talk about, you know, what type of job to look into, to apply for university, or so on. We include different varieties of professionals, those including medical laboratory professionals, and as well to just, especially now with COVID-19, there's a lot of talk about science, getting more kids engaged in science, but also the careers that are related to science. And I mean, maybe having more literature available to them, having more presentations, reaching out to make those presentations, because I think now I used to do some of those presentations. I think I will be looking out to do more of them in the future, because now that I've finished my master's degree, that took up a lot of my time, but
congratulations.
So yeah, you know, I would be definitely looking to do more of these presentations to educate those. And also I would encourage students to maybe do to do a little bit of independent research about, you know, what if this career field would work for them. I know there are some other people out there in Canada as well, or in other countries, who have been active in talking about the work they do. So I think of maybe like reading about their stories and kind of seeing, you know, day in the life. I know there are some organizations I think one is in the UK. I know about Harvey's Gang. It's an organization that I think takes children and lets them shadow medical laboratories. But yeah, so I think, to a reasonable extent, if, any educational efforts should be made to teach kids at, even younger ages about sciences and about, oh, I'm at the hospital, like I just got my blood taken, like what does that mean? Where is it going? I think that could also be a valuable conversation to have. And it can really give them, a little perspective into, I may not see this person who's doing, testing on my blood, but they're there and they're working hard for your health and helping you to get better as well. So, it can be a bit difficult being a profession that's more behind the scenes. And, in the last few years, it can seem like we were a bit in the background, hidden, but with this pandemic, that's totally changed because now the importance of laboratory testing is made especially clear due to the multitude of COVID-19 swabs that need to be tested. And now people realizing, because of the delays in testing, like, wow, there's actually a lot that goes into this. And yeah, it's so I think education is definitely, and in different forms too, and at different ages, that would be very important to spread the word and get our profession just in the limelight. Yeah.
Mary, I can't believe what you just said, because this is something I've been speaking to many schools, and this is something they've been echoing, that kids are moving away from science. They don't want to take that on board. They don't understand the reason behind it. And especially, I think you're right, the medical laboratory field is really behind scene. And when people don't see the value, they don't see it. And hopefully, thanks to 2020, this has shined a light on the importance of what the job you do, the importance of yourself, and the importance of getting tested, the importance of having staff to do this work. I really appreciate your kind words, and I hope this message will spread around and will encourage more younger people to get on board and to sign up for courses like what you've just done. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I enjoy any opportunity to talk about my profession and just educate anyone about any topic regarding the laboratory. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.